Okay, I just filmed one video and I sat down. I was like, I saw this and I was like, I got to do a video about it. So, okay. Little preface. I'm not so sure where I land on spirituality, but I find it very fascinating. I find tarot, witchcraft, all that shit very interesting. And so there's this store that near me called Alchemy and Ashes. It's the coolest store. I want to do a video about it one day. If I can get better video equipment, I would love to ask the owners if I could film a video there for them because it is so cool. But they had this one room where they had a bunch of antique books. And I saw this one, and I did a TikTok about this one, but let me see if I can get the focus. There we go. It's called The English Poets, Addison to Blake. I got this book, and it had a little sticker that said it's from 1902. So this is an old-ass book. So I'm very careful with it. Some of the poetry is really hard to read. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. Like, look at all the warm pages. And one cool little thing I found was when I opened the back, I found this photo. Now, I don't know who this lady is. I don't know who owned this book, but she lives in this book now, so I can't take her out of it for very long. I believe it's taken here in Florida. It looks like it could be somebody's mom or wife, and she's standing in some water, and it's beautiful. Somebody had this in here to remember them, to see them. That is so cool. So, in this book, I was curious, from 1902, what kind of poets are they going to have in here? I'm pretty sure it's going to be all men. And it is, for the most part. I think, yeah, they have this one that's really cool from 1660 to about 1720, and it's Lady Winchilsea. So we're going to go to that page 27. Yeah, so I'm going to read you the intro to it, and then I'm going to read one poem from her that I thought was really cool. In that invaluable essay which Wordsworth appended to his lyrical ballads in 1815, he says that accepting the nocturnal reverie of Lady Winchilsea and a passage or two in the Windsor Forest of Pope, the poetry of the period intervening between the publication of the Paradise Lost and the Seasons does not contain a single new image of external nature. This remark, although rather acute than exact, since the poet forgets both Gay and Parnell, did eminent service in restoring to the list of English poets a name entirely and unworthily forgotten. Since Wordsworth's mention of Lady Winchilsea, the one piece that he cites has been often reprinted in collections of verse, but it cannot be said that any further effort has been made to investigate the claims of the neglected authoress. Her poems have neither been edited or described, and we believe that our present selection will reveal to almost all our readers a writer positively unknown to them. Yet she was a poetess of singular originality and excellence. Her lines, "To the Nightingale," have lyrical qualities which were scarcely approached in her own age, and would do credit to the best. While her odes and more weighty pieces have a strength and accomplishment of style which make the least interesting of them worth reading. See what I mean? People in 1902 even wrote weird shit, and I can't even read this. Lady Winchilsea was one of the last Pindaric writers of the school of Cowley. Her odes display that species of writing, in final dissolution of which was redeemed by Gray and Collins. Such a poem as her All is Vanity, full as it is ingenious thought, and studied with noble and harmonious lines, fails to impress the intention as a vertebrate composition. Her Ode to the Spleen, from which Pope borrowed his famous aromatic pain, is still more loose and fragmentary in structure. On the other hand, her lesson... So there we go. Pope is kind of ripping her off in that sense, I guess. I guess that's what they're saying, which I do find to kind of fit the thing, because what do white dudes love doing more than ripping off black artists? It's ripping off female artists. Or what woman artists? I feel like female would be... I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong terms. On the other hand, her less ambitious studies have a singular perfection of form and picturesqueness of manner. She lights upon the right epithet and employs it with precision, and gives a brilliant turn even to a triviality by some bright and natural touch. Her Nocturnal Reverie is worthy of Wordsworth's commendation. It is simply phenomenal as the creation of a friend or prior and of Pope, and some of the couplets, especially those which describe the straying horse and the cries of the birds, are worthy of the closest observers of nature in a naturalistic age. In light, verse Lady Winchilsea took Prior as a model and succeeded respectively. Her reply to Pope's complimentary verses to her under the name of Ardelina deserves higher praise. From her age to this, Lady Winchilsea has received nothing. From her age to this, Lady Winchilsea has received nothing but neglect from the English public. Her contemporaries disregarded her writings, as herself complains, and in 1753 there were still existing 2 collections of her poems in MS, which no one had taken the trouble to print. To the public of the 18th century, her delicate observation of nature seemed less important than the dialect lyricism of Miss Barber or the frivolity of Laetitia Pinklington. What the fuck kind of names are these? Jesus! If those unpublished poems to which reference had been made are still in the possession of her family, it is highly desirable that they should be given to the world. Edmund W. Gossie? So yeah, she was, I guess... The short of it, I think she and Pope were cool, but he did reference to her, and she got no accreditation in her time, a forgotten artist, and honestly, I do find her poems quite good, so I do want to read. So there's one called In Answer to Mr. Pope, which I think refers to the poet Mr. Pope. I first read it as being the Pope. I think she's like calling him out, like this is like beefing. So I'm going to read that one after I read Ode to the Spleen. Falsely the mortal part we blame of our depressed and ponderous frame, which to the first degrading sin let thee and dull attendant in, still with the other did comply, nor clogged the active soul disposed to fly and range the mansions of its native sky, nor whilst in his own heaven he dwelt, whilst man his paradise possessed, his fertile garden in the fragrant east, and all united odors felt. No armed sweets until they reign could shock the sense, or in the face a flushed, unhandsome colored place. But now a jonquil daunts the feeble brain, we faint beneath the aromatic pain, till some offensive scent thy powers appease, and pleasure we resign for short and nauseous ease. Beautiful. I think that's beautiful. It's a little hard for me to understand because, again, it's written like the 1700s, but I think it's beautiful. I think also the name An Ode to the Spleen is really cool. I would love to use that as a song title, but, I don't want to fall into the stereotype of, white dudes. I don't want to fall in the steps of Alexander Pope. Listen to me sounding like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So this one is called In Answer to Mr. Pope. I wish I knew the drama. I wish I knew the lore. This sounds like such cool beef. Poets calling each other out. In Answer to Mr. Pope, disarmed with so genteel an air, the contest I give o'er, it's the O apostrophe ER, I don't know how to say that. Yet, Alexander, have a care, and shock the sex no more. We rule the world, our life's whole race. Men but assume that right. First slaves to every tempting face, then martyrs to our spite. You of one Orpheus sure have read, who would like you have writ, had he in London town been bred, and polished too his wit. But he, poor soul, thought all was well, and great should be his fame, when he had left his wife in hell, and birds and beasts could tame. Yet venturing then with scoffing rhymes the woman to incense, resenting heroines of those times soon punished his offense. And as the hubris rolled his skull and harp besmeared with blood, they clashing as the waves grew full, still harmonized the flood. But you our follies gently treat, and spin so fine the thread, you need not fear his awkward fate, the lock won't cost the head. Our admiration you command, for all that's gone before. What next we look for at your hand can only raise it more. Yet soothe the ladies, I advise, as me too pride has wrought. We're born to wit, but to be wise, by admonitions taught. I don't know what that means, but she sounds like she's calling him out very fucking hard, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. I love that shit. My voice is getting tired, but I definitely want to do more research into her because this interests the fuck out of me. Yeah, I don't know. I figured I'd do a short video because I've always loved poetry, but I've struggled to get into it, especially the stuff that's harder for me to understand with different vernacular. But yeah, I think it's beautiful, and I love seeing that not only was she like a feminist during her time and girl bossing and slaying, but getting ripped off by Alexander Pope, calling him out, and still going unrecognized until they managed to find it for this in 1902, but they still said that there were still works that they didn't have. Like, that's cool to me. That's so sick. It makes me wonder just like what may have been found after that, or if she just vanished with time. I don't know. That's just a poet in there I thought was interesting, and I wanted to share. If you like the video, go listen to my music. I love you, and read some poetry and write some for me, please. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.